You ready? You're excited? For YouTube, y'all know me. I'm Taylor Gibson, the manager of programming here at the Cedars Union. Tonight we have a lecture by Danielle Naylor, our director of operations, going over CV building.
Cool, yay! Okay, hello everyone. Like Taylor said, my name is Danielle Naylor. I am the director of operations here at the Cedars Union, and I am super excited, but also super nervous to be leading this lecture on CV building. A little background on me to kind of build some trust. I have worked in museums, art centers, and art galleries across the country for over 10 years now, doing everything from managing entire education departments to building interpretive learning and docent programs to directing art fairs and assisting with exhibitions and collections management to even working on international publications and opening a museum. And that's just my art background. We can talk about my reptile background later. I've had many resumes, CVs, and applications come across my desk in my many day jobs. And in my free time, I also just really enjoy helping my friends build out application materials for their own jobs, residencies, and grants. I don't think anybody would disagree with me when I say that resumes and CVs are your first impression for things you apply for and for helping people shine in their best light. And that's something that I really care about, and that's why I'm here to kind of help you all do that for yourselves. So, without further ado, boom, agenda. I'm just gonna go over the plan for the evening since we only have 90 minutes. So first we're gonna start off going over some basic definitions of what a resume and what a CV are, because nobody really gets them right even on job listings. And I think it'll better help you understand what each of these documents are meant to do, and we'll just spend a few minutes there. Then we'll go into like a list of general components that will give you a good starting point, and we'll also just spend like a few minutes here. Then we'll go over the types of CVs and the ways that you can format your information with some very specific examples. And then we'll have some time together to build CVs. Woohoo! So let's just get started. Any questions? Excellent. We have not done enough to have questions yet. Okay, so a resume is a short 1 to 2 page document that is hyper-focused on presenting skills and experience for employment, graduate school, scholarships, fellowships, etc. While a CV, which is short for curriculum vitae, which literally translates to the course of life, includes the same skills experience for things like employment applications, graduate school, scholarships, fellowships, etc., but this presents them in a much more detailed manner, including entire education histories, entire publication histories, and entire like project details. It really gets down into like the nitty-gritty minutia of everything that you're doing in your life. You will typically see resumes asked for in the traditional job market, while CVs are usually asked for in academia. However, as I have said several times already, this has become a really common practice to see these terms interchanged pretty regularly, sometimes without discretion. And it does take a little bit of sleuthing to kind of figure out like what potential employers, grantors, etc. are actually wanting from you. So let me ask, who here has already made their own resume and have used them on applications and stuff before? Oh, okay. When was the last time you updated that? Oh, okay. Woo, gold star. Okay, not bad. All right. So I typically advise people to go through and update their information at least quarterly. I know this sounds like really frequent unless you're actively applying for things, but I think it really helps take the pressure off for when you are applying for things that you have like this information, this part of your application already ready. It's also a great way to stay fresh on like knowing your value. Like I've been doing all these things at work and I'm just in it and I don't think about it until I go to update my resume. And if you do it every 3 or 4 months, then it's fresh. It's always fresh. You know what happened. Yeah, so where am I in my notes? Yep, next. So now we're just gonna jump into the components of a CV. So I've broken this up into mostly required and optional, and then I've asterisked the really non-negotiable stuff, which is your contact information. So CV is supposed to be this expansive history of you, but knowing how to present that information in a concise way is really key. As you can see, you're gonna go over a lot of things, especially if you're like further in your life/career. So not having it like be a jumble for someone else to read is really great. So I've listed out the general components, and you'll I have to like now look because my little pointer isn't here. So your contact information, your education, your work experience, your skills, certifications, publications, conference presentations, special projects, awards and achievements are the things that are mostly required. But I will say all of these categories can also be rephrased to best suit like what you're bringing to the table. If you haven't done conference presentations, but you do like lectures and workshops like pretty regularly, you could change that out for that. But in this second section, I've listed out the statement of purpose, which is sometimes also known as like a resume summary, a statement of purpose, an objective, resume objective, and these are like the little paragraph that you start your resume with. These have come back into fashion, so as all of you have been like creating resumes and applying for things throughout the years, I want to say that I think typically in academia they were like getting people away from that, but they've come back into fashion. So if you're wanting to do that, I fully support you. I don't do that. I think that is the purpose of a cover letter, but that's not why we're here tonight. And then I also included your references as super optional. I think when I'm applying for things, I want to either like have someone ask me for my references before I put them on. I don't want to just hand out people's contact information without like knowing that they need it. And especially if you're doing like digital applications, that's usually further down the line in the process. So it's not necessary unless they ask for it. And then also volunteer experience. If you do like all of these things and they're paid, I would just stick to that and have your volunteer experience be like something that you mention in your cover letter if it's something that you're really passionate about or something that you just talk about during your interview. So, pausing for questions. Does anybody have any questions about the difference between a resume or a CV or any of the components that I've listed here or want more clarification? Yes, Lori.
So when I wrote my CV, I didn't quite understand because I had already been in a different career.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was trying to do my art career.
Yeah.
So I didn't put any of these other jobs that I had. And I was told just to put like shows that I entered and things like that. So that's what I thought a CV was just building that.
Yeah.
So is that wrong?
No, that's totally right. Yeah, so CVs serve different purposes, and I would definitely say if you're like doing a major shift in your career, like I've done that before, I know that it is like you want to list that I've been working, even if it's not in that field. I've been doing all these things in the background, but I would definitely say that, like keep it art related if you're focusing on art things. If you're doing something more general like a job application, I would include both.
But if the other career was an art career, but it wasn't like making art, but it was education and all that,
Yeah.
not put that in there at all?
Oh, I think you could. I think it would definitely depend on the like specific thing that you're applying for. And we can definitely talk about that in the interactive part. Okay, so now I'm gonna go on to examples. Okay, so there are 6 main types of examples, or 6 main types of formatting that I'm gonna go over today, starting with the chronological format, the functional/skill-based format, the combination format, the targeted format, the creative format, and the academic format. I'm going to show you examples of each of these and kind of give an overview of the main characteristics. And I do want to say that all of these styles of formatting are like kind of malleable and you can mix and match as you want, with the exception of the academic format, because that's really specific to academia. They are looking for very specific things, and even within like specific institutions and specific fields, they want to see what they ask for, and I would just stick to what they ask for and don't deviate. All right, here we go. Maybe. Yes, okay. So I'm gonna start off with the chronological. When you picture a CV or a resume in your head, you're probably picturing the chronological format. It's the classic. Each section is organized in a reverse chronological order. The sections themselves are usually presented in an overarching reverse chronological order, and this really emphasizes experience. I am going to kind of go off book and show you all my resume as the example for this. Technical difficulties. Where's my cursor? Boom. Okay. So overall, as you can see, I like to keep my resume really free of clutter. I'm not a graphic designer, so I don't have any graphic elements on here. It is just bullet points. I do start off my contact info. Important to note that I just have my name, my website, my email address, and my phone number. I don't list my address or my city, state even, just because I like to lure people in before I let them know in Dallas, because relocating is not something that I'm afraid of, and I don't want it to like deter people from like passing me through the process just based on my location. Yep, and I've also I made a note to myself that I've also gotten several jobs out of state and offers out of state as well. I think that's a large part to do with like they find my like experience and my passions align with their organization, and they're not afraid to like have that conversation about relocation with me. Then I quickly move into my work experience, and I will say that I do, let's see if I can scroll on this. So as you can see, I have like a ton of bullet points. This is basically like a job listing where I have all of my duties broken out, and then I break out like special projects further down that I'm really proud of and that I want people to be able to see and be able to reference easily. I do occasionally pare this down quite a bit, and instead of doing bullet points, I'll do like a summary of the position that I was in with a breakout of the special projects again. But since this version just lives on my website for anybody to see, anybody to like peruse or try to get to know me a little bit before talking to me, I just feel like this is the place to have like everything blown out in great detail. Then what's next? Yeah, again, this just kind of varies on like what I'm applying for, and do we have questions about this, or I can just go through the sections and kind of give you all like an overview of the classic chronological format type. Questions? I don't know how to make it bigger.
If you hit the plus button.
Where's the plus button?
If you go.
Oh, thank you. I'm looking at this like sideways. Boop, 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 boop. And I will be sending this all to you all with the links and everything. So don't worry about that, I promise. Okay, yeah, thank you for that, Maria. So we have contact information, education, experience, and that goes on for a while. Sorry, I'm old. I have a lot of work experience. Keeps going. Then I go into my special projects, and then I go into my lectures and presentations. I will be adding this lecture to it later, maybe even tonight if we have time with you all. My curatorial experience, and then I end it with my skills. And normally after this, if someone does ask for references, I will add the references onto that page and like a page after that. Yeah, so that is the chronological style. Any questions? Yes.
So in your like each job description, you have like a ton of bullet points. So my question is, it's like,
Yeah.
did you copy and paste the job description, or did you write all this?
So yes and yes. It starts out for sure as like copying and pasting, like when I get a new job, and we can start off with my newest job. I started at the Cedars Union in July, and so I just copied and pasted that with no, like, I haven't edited this part of it at all because I'm still learning the role, still figuring out like what I want some special projects to be. And yeah, so copying and pasting, and then when I go back in a month or so, I will edit this and have it be more specified. Yeah, but it's always like a good place to start with, knowing that this is the job that you're being paid to do, and hopefully that's what you're doing. Yeah. Any other questions? Okay. Next format. Oh gosh, I lost the mouse. Okay, let's see if it does this. Okay, cool. So the next type is the functional / skill-based type. It focuses on relevant and transferable skills. This is the best way to showcase your ability even if you don't have a long work history or education, and it's often used by people who have changed careers and have gaps in employment. Lori, I think this would have been like a great way to showcase that you've switched to being like a professional artist as opposed to someone who just works in the arts. I have a wonderful example by my beloved friend Jennifer L. Wheeler. I've changed that. That's not her real name. She lives on Drury Lane in Dallas. I don't know if y'all have been there. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful area of town. But this is a great way to showcase the functional / skill-based format type, because she is much more than her work history. Obviously, I believe this personally, I believe this professionally, and I know it's really hard to convey this when all you have is like a CV or something on an application and someone doesn't actually get to talk to you. But this format type really helps like humanize you and say that like I have all these transferable skills that might not look like they can be what the job application is saying, but they are, and I know that as someone who has changed careers, I know that hands-on experience with this format type is really great. So here you can see Jennifer has combined all of her experience, work, and volunteer to demonstrate a consistent work ethic. She's organized expos and continuing education/leadership courses, and that takes a lot of time and effort. And by including them under this experience section, she is not only filling space in that section, but she's also letting people know that she already knows how to transfer skills. And I do want to point out that she's put in these activities and memberships, and I know when we were creating this format, we were working specifically on a position with the city planning department, and I think that membership, that theatrical society membership, kind of looks a little funny, just like without context, but knowing that she was applying for something within her community that really showcased that she had a dedication to her community. Any questions on the functional/skill-based format type? Excellent. Next. Okay, so next we have the combination type. This combines, as you might have guessed, this combines the chronological and functional formats. It starts with relevant skills instead of work experience, and it's great for someone who's early to mid-career looking to move up into a different position. It also showcases a lot of varied but relevant experience that is also happening simultaneously. This is the format that I suggest to my friends who are living in the gig life. When you're working multiple jobs that all do the same thing, it's kind of weird to figure out how to list them in a chronological format. But the key here I would really suggest is that you're demonstrating this overarching theme to the reader. If you have a lot of paid work experience doing several gigs, like you're a theater tech and you're working on building scenes and stuff, you can create your format to really showcase that. I will say before I click this link that this is a lot to look at. And if this is the format that you're thinking about doing, I would definitely suggest starting with an outline of your sections and then going in and filling in the jobs and experience that you have in each of the sections. Okay, so let me try to click this link. Boop. Okay, now how do I make, at the bottom now. Okay, so Diane Lane here is a professional flautist. She is focusing this application to be for collegiate and private teaching. So she is absolutely nixed her education and any work experience she has, and is focusing on breaking her sections out into the different types of teaching opportunities that she's had. So we start off with collegiate teaching, then she goes into guest lectures and master classes that she's taught, and she has done a lot. And then she goes into her education to say this is all the things that I've already been doing out in the world, but I do have this background if that is something that is required. A lot of colleges and universities do require for you to have a certain amount of education. And it can also affect your pay range. Then she goes in to talk about her competitions, awards, her research and grants, and her orchestral and large ensemble performances experiences. And she just kind of goes down the list and has switched from her teaching to her performance, which is really interesting. And I think if she were to be applying for symphonies and orchestras, I would suggest she flip the format on that, or flip the sections around on that, while still staying in this format. And then I just kind of want to quickly scroll down to the bottom. And again, you guys will get this link to this resume as well. So then she scrolls down to her professional skills and her additional employment. I would suggest, I don't know how she does all of this, but she also has this slightly burgeoning website design and development career happening in the background of all of her flute playing. And I would suggest that if she really wanted to focus on doing that and kind of leave the music world behind, that she would switch to the format that we'll talk about next. But does anyone have any questions on this format? Yeah, it's a lot. I do understand that. It is a lot to look at, but it is a great way, again, to showcase and specify that I've done all of these things, but this is the thing I want you to focus on by forefronting that. Okay, so now we're going to talk about the targeted format. This is created specifically for each application that you're applying to. This only has relevant info, but also normally includes a statement of some kind. This is organized in order of relevance, again, just deviating from the chronological format. This is usually very short, 2 pages max. You really want this to be targeted. You don't want a lot of fluff in there. So again, if my friend Diane Lane were to want to start thinking about a career in web design and development, I would suggest she focus and do a targeted resume. But here we have, what did I write? Who is this? Bill Ashner. Again, I've changed all of their names. So Bill Ashner is a dentist, and he has organized his CV in the targeted format, starting with his name and contact information. He's also got his degrees up in his contact information, because as a medical doctor, like, you do want to like showcase that you are licensed and you're not going to mess up anybody's mouth. So this conveys his experience in a really digestible way, while also letting people have a little bit of insight into what it would be like to work with him. He's included a headshot, which is a little controversial. It is really typical in Western European applications, but it's not something that you really see in the States, and certainly not in the arts. If this is something that you feel strongly about, or you know who is like reviewing the applications, I would say go for it. Otherwise, I would say play it safe. Resumes and applications are not places to like try something new. I would definitely say you would see more success playing it safe, and then getting a feel for the culture after you've got whatever you applied for. Okay, let me see. As you can see, he's organized his CV with his name, contact info, relevant employment history. Oh, I did also want to point out that he's moved his education to the bottom of his resume, which is a super bold move. He graduated in 2020, but he's done all of this other stuff, and I think even though it is a bold move, like it really works in this format, in the targeted format, because he's saying like, yes, I'm licensed, yes, I did go to school, but I've also continued to collect certifications, continued my education in other ways, and I've also started already working in the field. So I think this is a great way to like show you all how, if you want to move your education to the bottom of your resume, you can. It's not scary. Questions? Next, we have the creative format. This is, again, a super concise format type. It provides an opportunity for artistic flair. It does showcase your own design skills if you're a graphic designer looking to break out into that field. But I would, again, caution you all that doing too much can be more hurtful than it is helpful. And full disclosure, these are not real life examples. These are templates that you can actually download online if you wish. I think these are from Etsy. I thought they were really good examples of like how to mesh, like showing that you're creative, showing that you have these design skills without being too much. And there's another headshot for you if you're interested in figuring out that. So think of the creative format as the targeted format, but like extra. You want to keep this, again, 1 to 2 pages max. Really focus in on matching your experience to whatever you're applying for. The most successful use of these application formats I've seen is when someone is collecting bids for a graphic designer, branding manager, a social media or general marketing project manager. This is where I like to see applicants use the opportunity to like let the reviewer know that like I have these skills already. I know I have a vision, I have a voice, and it really personalizes like who I am potentially getting into business with. Questions on this one? I know you artists like this format. I know you guys have questions about this. All right, we'll talk about it later then. Last but not least, okay, so the academic format it highlights. Sorry, let me back up. I don't have any examples of the academic format because, again, this is a super specific format that's tied not only to the industry that you're applying in, but even to the institution that you are applying to. So instead, what I'm going to do, I'm going to go over some highlights, and then I'm going to go over some resources for you all. And again, you will get this PowerPoint presentation with the links, so don't be afraid that you have to like write down these super long URLs that I'm about to click into. So for highlights, we have that it focuses on academic accomplishments. That's entire publication histories, all of the degrees that you get becoming an academic, all of the conferences that you attended, presented at, and like helped organize, all of your teaching, being classes that you taught, classes that you authored, all of the adjuncting that you're going to do as an academic, and it just goes into a ton of detail, especially like what you studied and who you studied with, because academia is a place where it's not just what you do, it's who you know and who you've played nice with. So this can, again, the structure of this can vary by role, institution, and field that you're applying in. Questions before I go over any of the resources? I love it. You guys are so great. Okay. University of Pennsylvania has a great site that kind of goes over all of the information that I've gone over, but more specified to applying for jobs and application jobs and things in academia. So it goes over, again, like a timeline for you, anatomy of the CV, formatting and laying out what you want to write, and then it has like additional resources that you can click into again, and then it has these lovely CV sample formats that you can click into, and like, I wonder if this is gonna mess it up. Okay, same thing where it's just very blank and you can fill in the blank if you want to. Again, I would maybe do a little more than just filling in a template, but that's a resource for you. And then next up we have UC San Francisco. Oh my God, you have no idea how hard it is to move this mouse around. Okay, so for this one, again, it's kind of similar to University of Pennsylvania's website, but this is application materials for faculty positions specifically. It kind of gives you the same thing, how to like understand what you're applying for, how to understand what you're writing, how to build what you're writing. Then it gives samples and all these cool upcoming events. If you happen to just be in San Francisco, I don't know what your lives are like. Next, we have Columbia's. And this one is really cool because Columbia has gone above and beyond and like specifically wrote out some helpful information for artists. So it goes in and talks about like your day job versus like your artist life, and then it goes in really specifically into what your academic CV would look like, and then it also has like links and stuff. I think, if I'm not mistaken, at least 2 years ago, they were actively like taking questions and things and like had a helpline for people that weren't necessarily already affiliated with Columbia, which is really nice. But if they've stopped helping the public, this Chronicle of Higher Ed CV Doctor was super helpful to me when I was working in academia and getting my master's and trying to like network and stuff. This is like a pay to play kind of thing, but it's really wonderful. As you can see, it says you'll get free articles each month, newsletters, job postings, salary data, and I don't know what the store discounts are. Like, here's a free piece of paper. I don't know. Anyway, but this is super helpful if you have like specific questions. They also have like a forum that you can ask questions in about like building your academic CV, and it helps you like connect to other people. It's a great way to network. The Chronicle of Higher Ed is a very useful website in general, but I just wanted to share these resources with you all if you were interested in working in academia. Where are we on time? Oh, we are right on time. Okay, so we're gonna take a little break, get some refreshments. We're gonna like kind of reorganize the tables, and then we're gonna get into it. We're gonna build our CVs together.